Depth Guard got a nice little HP bump, as well as the whole Elite Infantry and Domination, which I definitely need to get in touch with some Domination folks. Not really in that space at all, but here in land battles today, Codex is going to be taking a rush build. Yeah, quite an aggressive rush build indeed against Cathay, which is quite interesting in and of itself. But let's take a look at the builds here. Yeah, we've got triple depth guard, dual hand weapons, a bunch of bomber mobs, as well as Mournguls, including the Night Terrors as well. Looks like Fellbats and Count Noctilus. Yeah, Count Noctilus already running in, hopefully to get his long-range zombie summon on these guns. We've got some crane guns there. Zhao Ming leading the way, and it looks like some peasant archers with Jade Warriors up front. Nangao Grenadiers got a little bit of a model count buff, I believe. Was it that, or was it, I believe so, yeah, up to 90 models. Makes them that much more okay. We'll see how they do here. We're going to have a little bomber off. I believe I did a battle like this before with Nangao Grenadiers, in which they performed quite poorly, and maybe it wasn't a battle, maybe it was just a test. But anyway, yeah, I didn't actually check before this, but what I did check is the damage on this bit of shades. Just one peasant archer, but still, from a target priority perspective, you know, win condition perspective, you've got to get rid of all of them. You see, yeah, Count Noctilus just kind of spreading some AoE damage around, hitting these peasant archers, trying to get them off the field. The frontline units probably can get rushed down, but let's see, the Grenadiers are a little bit far forward here. Maybe should be kind of in the second line behind the Jade Warriors, but they do get plowed into there. We see some counter bombing. Let's get the HP pools up after a second of combat. Yep, some Nangao is already routed, but at the same time, the bombers, the Vampire Coast, not faring much better. Did I say counts? Might have said counts. Anyway, yeah, the Mournguls moving in. The rush is underway. That terror taking hold, of course. Mournguls causing terror is a really nice benefit. One of the cheaper units, and honestly, like, just as a monstrous infantry, having base terror is very good. Yeah, the aggressive rush managing to disrupt quite a bit of Cathay's lines so far. We see just lots of units routing all across the board. Another nice bit of shades here, catching one kind of healthy peasant archer. The crane gun's still online, though, and that is quite a potent piece. They will have no doubt accrued some value. Yeah, there aren't a ton of actual high-value targets to shoot at outside of the depth guard, and it hasn't been able to get a super clean beat, or else hasn't prioritized shooting at them. Regardless, Noctilus going to get in here and disrupt himself, as Zhao does beat in the front line. He is doing a good job of slaying some of those Night Terrors, not allowing their models to regenerate. That's something else to consider, of course, with these depth guard, is a HP increase on them does mean that percentage-based healing gets that much more effective. I think it's like a 10% HP increase. Nothing crazy impactful, but definitely something that you can work with, certainly. Every little bit helps, and when your vampire counts or coast or anything with a lot of healing, to be honest, base HP buffs go quite a bit further, to be honest. So let's see how these depth guard can do. Their speed now will come in handy as they're kind of chasing some routing units all across the field. That's sweet. Well, like 40 plus speed, I think. Yeah, 30 plus, actually. I thought they were in the 40s. Interesting. Yeah, I guess they are somewhat heavily armored. Pretty heavily armored, so yeah, makes sense. Ooh, nasty Mournguls sandwich on these Jade Warriors as Zhao tries to stabilize things, flying in himself. But we're going to see a pit of shades in response. Won't do too much damage to the monstrous infantry, but going to absolutely clobber any crowmen or Jade Warriors, obviously. But the crowmen do manage to mostly disengage. They've been able to rack up quite a bit of kills here. Didn't really highlight them in the beginning, but crowmen are obviously just super efficient. I say obviously, maybe some of you don't know. I do forget sometimes some of you might be out there watching this for the first time. Maybe. YouTube hasn't been recommending my stuff a ton lately, so definitely feel free to drop an extra like or comment if you feel so inclined. Always appreciated. But yeah, crowmen here are very efficient just generally, and flying around getting some damage. As long as they don't get overkilled in one engagement, then they can keep doing their thing. And right now they are definitely doing their thing. Both paid for themselves, basically. Let's see here. Depth guard with their anti-infantry bonus. Only a +5, but still it's something. Will apply to the crowmen, of course. And eventually they will have to come down and engage. Depth guard pressuring these peasant bowmen as they come back from rout. Oh, that's a nice shot right there. Get Zhao in the distance. Crowmen move in. Are they going after the Morngul's? Probably the best target, given their relative lack of AP damage. Yeah, 15 AP is not terrible, definitely, but going after, you know, both units just kind of jumping on the Morngul's, somewhat of the Hound effect, right? Where, like, many unit models can surround a single Morngul, get lots of attacks in with those small unit models, and just burst them down very quickly, then get back up in the air. Really nicely done, honestly, by the Cathay player with the Crowmen, but I don't know if it's going to do much for him. He's just lost way too much value in terms of all these ranged units. There are a lot of Morngul's left. It won't all be isolated like that one was. But Zhao going to move in. Let's see here. Yeah, the Frostbite as well does mean that those Crowmen take quite a bit of damage on the disengage. Or at least will be somewhat slowed, but yeah, this Depth Guard gets multi-charged, and, you know, against a living faction, routing a unit like this would absolutely be possible, even in elite infantry, but of course, it's undead, so they don't rout. They just stand there and keep fighting even while they're crumbling, even if you do force them into crumbling, which I think they were briefly there, but even then, Depth Guard, pretty high leadership, so hard to do in the first place, and the benefit is a little bit extra damage, rather than them routing, so there, the undead OP-ness. Haven't said that in a long time. Maybe some of you don't know if you're somewhat new to the channel. Crumbling is very strong, in my opinion, and it's also a game mechanic, which in a situation like that, I mean, obviously the battle's pretty much won at that point. It's not like it decided the outcome of the battle, but just generally a good example there of how, yeah, well, you can have a nice play, which the Cathay player definitely had some nice plays there, but ultimately was not able to overcome. Credit to Codex, he also had some nice plays as well. Just a well-constructed rush build, you know, well-executed as well, you know, hitting his different targets at the right time, having the timing of everything kind of arrive at the same time. It's definitely an underrated skill when you are playing as rush builds. It's a super important skill to have, making sure you have that timing and having things in place. With an army like Vampire Coast, it's pretty tricky because of how slow those zombies are, so credit to him. I mean, it's not like the zombie bomber mobs did a ton, but they were somewhat decent beat shields. The Morngul's also get some pretty good value. Didn't crazy pay for themselves, but then, yeah, one Depth Guard, like 200 value there, and then, of course, Noctilus, pretty decent. Actually, kind of surprised not more stuff didn't have more value. I guess that's not a grammatically correct sentence at all, but you know what I mean. Anyway, looking on the Cathay side, yeah, the Jade Warriors get absolutely obliterated here. Peasant Archers, even as much value as thrown at them, we're still able to, like, half pay for themselves for the most part, but then, yeah, the mobility, this counter mobility, both the Crowmen just absolutely feasting here, trying to hold back everything, just was not enough. Needed some more mobility, quite a bit of investment on the ranged, and, like, yeah, the Nangao Grenadiers are a fun idea, and I definitely appreciate the fireworks of having two bomb squads face off against each other, but, yeah, they're still not going to be great. Even with the extra unit models they got, they're probably the worst of the bomb units, I would say. You know, just miles away from Globadiers. That's a subject for another day, as some of you well know. But, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. At least I think that's how it works. Anyway, see you next time.